Hey guys, welcome back to my channel. So today's video is a all matte. I know it's literally been a hot minute since I have done an all matte look. So today's video is a tutorial on this eye look right here. It is a all matte look, and I honestly had a hard time today deciding which palette I really wanted to use first because I kind of got some new ones and I was excited to just kind of play in some makeup today and create this type of look. I knew what look I wanted to do. I just didn't really know which palette to use, but I did use the new KKW. This is the new Coca palette. Looks like this. This has me written all over it. I do have the Zoeva Coca palette, so of course I had to get this. This is perfect for me to create a really nice soft socket eye contouring bronzy type of a look. I love this. So this is the look tutorial today. I'm really excited. This is just kind of a super easy, quickie, just a few steps looks with a smoky winged liner. Kind of show you guys the steps on how to create this smoky winged liner as well. And that's it. So if you guys are new here, please hit the subscribe button and join my Hooded Eyes channel, because with YouTube algorithms, nobody even knows I exist. Hit the subscribe button. That always helps us YouTubers out, and hit the notification bell. That way YouTube will notify you of all of my future uploads. And I do talk a lot, so I have to catch my breath here. So if you guys are new, welcome to the video. Welcome to my channel. My name is Lauren Jade. I'm 57. I have mature, crepey, wrinkly skin, and I'm always looking for tips and tricks to kick that hooded eye in the butt and show that thing who's a boss. Every day, we're gonna slay that hooded eye day. All right, so I think that's it. I want to stop rambling, and we're just going to get right into this tutorial. So if you guys want to see how I created this look, then just keep watching, and let's get right into this tutorial. All right, I already went ahead. I got some primer here on my eyelids. I'm using MAC's Paint Pot in Soft Ochre, and I did dab a tiny bit of Vaseline, which I keep in this little round jar right here in my makeup station, because the MAC's Paint Pot can be very drying on my eyes, and just mixing a tiny bit in there really just makes all the difference. It gets really smooth and evens everything out, so I don't have that lumpy, bumpy, clumpy, cakey mess. I'm going to go ahead and set this primer using one of these shadows here in the KKW Coca palette. I think I'm going to take this shade right here, and I'm just going to lay this down where I'm planning to place the shadows. It's a really light peachy, kind of a skin tone friendly shade. I'm going to grab that bone color shade from up above it and just kind of tap this out here. I'm kicking it P. Louise style today, which, by the way, I'm anxiously awaiting my order. And yes, I'm still going to blend. I'm not going to turn into one of these people that all of a sudden they get the P. Louise base and suddenly they think they're one of the UK artists, and they're not going to blend. They're just going to, you know, put all this color on there. I'm still going to blend with it. I promise. Nothing's going to change. Okay. Good to go. All right. Time to... All right, I'm going to grab the Hoola bronzer right here from the Cheek Leader palette. You guys know that this is the Bronze Squad. You guys know I always bronze my crease. I like to get in there and just really kind of contour and sculpt in right in the socket. I'm just going to put a tiny bit in. I mainly do this step for the inner corner shading because I like to connect it into my nose contour here, and I like to brush some up towards the brow. I just really like this inner corner shading. It just gives such a really nice, sultry, sexy fade. All right, I'm going to go into the Coca palette, and I think I'm going to grab this shade and maybe a little tiny bit of this one. I'm using a 441 from Morphe. It is a pointed, tapered brush. I'm going to just kind of map out here kind of the shape and just kind of shade a little bit more into the crease. I'm going to tap off the little excess right there, even though I always tap off. I like to take the extra and just kind of place it right there. I'm going to kind of start in the middle and just kind of really get into that socket and work. Kind of map out the shape a little bit. So basically just kind of laying down the color, mapping out the shape. I think I mentioned the brush that I used first, which was the Sigma E35. I'm going to grab a little bit of this bone shade right here, and I'm going to swirl this on the outer edges here just to catch the edges of that transition shade and just make it all nice and airy out here. I like that airbrushed finish. I like everything out here, as you guys know, to be nice and airy, and then I like for the inner corner to have the shading. All right, I'm using a Sigma E65 winged liner brush. I'm going to grab this shade right here, which is tawny, and I'm going to kind of sketch out my fake crease, just kind of really lightly for now, and then I'm going to go ahead and deepen it up in a little bit. I'm just going to put in a rough sketch. I'm going to kind of start in the center of the eye. I'm really going to hollow out this socket and really kind of get the shape going. I kind of get the shape going as I'm applying the transition shades, but all right, I know that I've said this before, use whatever brush works the best for you when creating and mapping out your fake crease, depending on whatever shape you're going for. If you just want like a thin, you know, like a thicker line that you really are not going to be doing too much blending with, you just kind of want to quote put in the shadow or shade, and I've done this before, you can use like a Sigma E25, you can use a MAC 217, M433 from Morphe. They're all the same type of brush. It will just give you that shading and just kind of sculpt out that crease. So basically you're just shadowing that area right there, so this type of brush works good. You can also use a really fat, kind of a thicker, more dense type of a shader brush. I just like to use this angled brush because I can precisely get exactly where I need it to be, and because this is such a really soft brush, I can just kind of feather out the edges, which is what I like to call tapping out. These little edges, just kind of tap them out and feather upwards, and just basically the blending is pretty much done for you. I also like that gradient from light to dark, so to get that gradient fade, I like the deepest part of this line, so I will often go back in and kind of retrace this fake crease line so that I get the darkest line kind of right at the base. So like right here, so I have that dark to light contrast between the contoured crease and the lid. So now what I'm going to do, I'll go into a little bit of this shade and a little bit of this one. I'm going to kind of mix the two. I'm going to grab my mirror here so I can see. And I'm just going to kind of go right a little bit above that fake crease line, but also kind of right on it. Just putting in a tiny bit of color, basically right over the edges of that, because I am going to go back in and I am going to deepen that up. And I want there to be that gradient fade. So when I go back in and I put in that darker shade, I will have that gradient. All right, I'm going to deepen up now just kind of this outer portion right here. I'm not going to take this deeper shade all the way in. I'm still using my Sigma E65 winged angle liner brush, and I'm going to take a sienna right here. I'm just going to take a tiny bit here, and this time I'm going to start this on this outer section right here because that is where I want concentration. All right, I'm going to grab a little bit more of this sandstone shade, which was the one that I used in the beginning, and I'm just going to graze over the edges of all of those shades. Just kind of the Kylie, this is from the Coco Kylie collab collection over here. This is the handbag hoe, which I have to say I am, I guess. All right, I'm gonna go ahead and use this. This is a lip liner. I'm using this as my eyeliner. Just going to, and this doesn't have to be perfect because we're gonna be smudging and smoking this out. I'm basically putting this down for longevity because it really kind of helps. When you do a shadow wing, which is what I always do, it really kind of helps the shadow wing to last longer. So that's the reason for that. And it also adds dimension and depth to the overall look. Really adds dimension into the lashes. I'm kind of wiggling this in here. I'm not really tight lining, but I'm getting pretty close to the root of the lash line here. And I'm taking it a little thicker on the outer corner, and then of course thinner as I get to the inner corner. I'm going to smudge out this liner now with just a comparable shade. I'm not going to go too deep, and then I'm going to go back in with a deeper shade and really get in there and really stamp along the root of the lash line. But for right now, I'm just going to smoke out this liner. I'm going to take this shade right here, Tawny, which is what I used for my fake crease. Hang on, I'm going to grab this mirror here. Pulling out your cat eye is you can add a little bit extra of the liner right on the outer edge. I don't like to put any out here. I just like to have a little bit kind of towards the end, and then I drag and pull that out. And you can also just kind of stamp right here, and it'll just kind of connect it. That way, when you do your lower lash line smoke, it just really kind of all connects. All right, I'm going to switch now to a Makeup Forever flat definer brush. And I don't know if I mentioned, but the last one I was using was an M432 from Morphe. It's a little bit of a softer one, which I like to use to kind of smoke out the shadows. This one's a little bit more slimmer, a little bit more firm and more precise. And I'm going to use this to stamp the root of these lashes and really kind of wiggle that darker color in there. I'm going to take this shade right here, Sienna, which I also used in my crease. So I'm really trying to tie everything that I used in the eye contouring up here down through the smoky winged liner. And I'm going to stamp the root here and just kind of wiggle. And I really want the darkest part of this smoky wing to be the closest to the lash line. All right, I'm going to grab a little bit more of this tawny shade right here. And I'm just going to place that right on top of everything else that we just kind of smoked out. All right, I'm going to use a kind of a ivory white shade that's a little bit whiter than the one that came in the palette, which is more of kind of like a ivory shade. This one's more like on the white side. It's Max Blanc type. I'm using the same e.l.f. shader brush that I was using, and I'm just going to map out my lid space here. And I'm keeping this all matte look today. Yay! Super excited. Extra step, you guys can totally skip this step because it is not necessary for the look. You guys can totally keep it like this and it'll rock. I'm just going to take this NYX shadow base in white, and I'm going to put that underneath that. I'm going to go back in and put that MAC shadow, that white one, on top of this base. I'm just going to take a tiny bit here. I just really want to amplify I'm making sure that I get the inner corners here. I really am going to want them to really pop. And now I'm going to go back in to the Max Blanc type, and I'm just going to tap that right over that base. And if this is too much of a contrast for you, you guys can use like a peach shade, a really kind of like a Bobby Brown bone shade would be really beautiful. Even the shadow that came in this palette, like even this one, of course, would be just stunning. Or that sandstone shade. I just want a little bit more of a contrast here. Just kind of putting this on the cheekbones here. Just kind of going up. I don't like that little stripe, so I just kind of like to mesh it right up in here. Oh yeah, it's popping. Oh, all about that popping. In case you guys are wondering, it's really hard to hold this up. I'm using this shade right here. Oh, love this palette. It literally just takes my breath away when I look at it. I don't even think I can hold this palette up. It's so big. This is the Sephora Pro in the medium. I cannot say how much I love this palette. I'm going to dust away all of my little baking now. And I'm going to, I think I'm going to go in with this bronzer, and then I'm going to pick one of these blush shades and put that on, and then we're going to use the highlight in here. And I'm using my Kevin Aquan large powder brush. And yes, I always say Aquan. I know some people are like Aqua, you know, but everybody has their own way of saying it, even though technically it probably is Aqua. I've always said Aquan. I know that a lot of people just say Aquan. It's kind of like, is that like Versace and Showgirls? Oh, I'm sorry, I love that movie. Ah, I know. It's a cult classic. What can I say? All right, I'm kind of kicking it 90s old school again today. You guys know that I am a OG MAC Spice and Myth chick from the 90s. I lived in Spice and Myth, like for real. So I'm going to be using the Nice and Spicy lip liner from MAC. And on my lips, I am wearing the new KKW Peachy. I think this one is 90s Runway. It's a peachy shade, and I'm going to top this with MAC's Bare Bling, concentrating on the center pout. I'm really kicking it 90s today, but you know what? Some things never change. So I have my fan here, and I'm going to spray the face, and then I'm going to dry it for just a quickie second, but while it's still kind of damp, I'm going to go ahead and apply the highlighter. I'm using the Elizabeth Arden 8-Hour Miracle Hydrating Mist. I'm just going to actually give this like a couple of squirts, and then I'm going to grab the highlighter while it's still damp. Oh yeah, it's popping. Oh, all about that popping. In case you guys are wondering, it's really hard to hold this up. I'm using this shade right here. Oh, love this palette. It literally just takes my breath away when I look at it. All right, I'm going to grab a pencil brush, and I'm going to grab a little bit of this. This shade is just stunning. This is the Beverly Hills. It's a beautiful rose gold with a little bit of bougie. Kind of mix the two together for my inner corner highlights. Oh. Ooh. Now I'm going to give one final spray. Ooh, absolutely love this look, and I love how this came out. Mwah! Thank you guys so much for watching. I love you guys. I will see you in my next one.